I think we've all seen the new Minecraft movie trailer, and the general consensus is that it's not that good. Now, if you want to know my opinion, it's kind of the same as this video by Mumbo Jumbo, where he talks about how, sure, it looks silly, but it looks like a fun movie. But that's not going to stop me from doing the internet's bidding and trying to fix the Minecraft movie. So the first one that everyone's been talking about is this pink sheep. Now, I don't hate this design too much. I think it's meant to be over the top and crazy, but what most people seem to agree on is that the issue is with the fur. So to start, I'm just going to get an outline of the body, and then we can fill it in from there. I'm going to bring in a pink sheep as reference, which is actually helpful because now I know that the ears aren't sticking out on a pink sheep. And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of realizing that the proportions of the Minecraft movie sheep are a lot different from this. I'm actually going to extend the body out a little bit. The head definitely needs to be smaller. I'm just going to take all of these and I'll smush them down and I'll make it bigger. And now that I have it a bit closer to the right shape, I want to add in these hooves. And in game, they're a little bit smaller than the wool above them, so I'll just put them a little bit further inside. And I'll pick this color from the leg, and then for the front side, we'll pick the darker color. I'm going to go ahead and copy that to the back, and I'll put one on the front up here as well. But I also feel like the movie version is a bit less pink than it should be. I'll just grab colors like this, and I think that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna add in some hooves on the bottom of each foot. Then we gotta add in the face somehow. And this is hard, because in the reference, they did try to do this, but I don't know what would look best for the face. So I'm wondering if I put this on top, how it'll look. Okay, so first of all, I gotta remove this sheep from the world. Then if I use the remove tool and select that all, I'll bring back all these layers. These legs are actually super misplaced. Okay, that's way better. So I'm just going to start at the top, and I'll simply add a little bit of highlight to the back and a little bit of shading up here where the face is. I'm going to continue this on for every part like this. And to show that there's a shadow underneath his face, I'm going to make a super harsh shadow where it touches the corner, and then slowly and gradually make it wider, just like that. I think that's a pretty convincing shadow. The parts down here need to be super dark because they're underneath the body and not much light is going to be hitting them. The only reason they're not completely dark is because light can reflect off of the grass and everything. And on each of these legs, I can put a shadow up here and a shadow on this side as well. Now that I've done all that, the shadow's definitely going the wrong way, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. Then if I flatten down my brush a little bit, I can paint in my own shadow, which I think would kind of be going this way. And then I'm going to use a layer mask to paint in grass, and I'm just going to do it a bit crudely because it doesn't matter that much. But basically, the more grass covering his leg, the more it'll look like he's actually standing in this. Ooh, and I completely forgot a shadow right here. We'll just add that in. And now we have our much smoother version of the sheep. But I wonder if I put in a little bit of texture, will it actually help? Let's see. Wait, I almost forgot to put highlights on top of his head. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'll bring in a wool texture here, and I'll get it generally into the right shape, but I'll just set it to multiply, and then with a mask, I'm going to paint in little areas where it shows up most. This way it's not really overrun with texture, but it's there. I'll do a mixture of its highlights as well to make it pop out just a little bit more. Now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and do it for all of the faces. It'll be pretty simple to repeat, but all I hope is that this doesn't look like one of those old realistic Minecraft texture packs. Actually, while I'm down by these feet, I feel like the grass isn't casting enough of a shadow, so I'll just sneak those in there. And yeah, that looks a lot better. The front of the legs, I think I can just leave a multiply layer there, and I kind of like that. Looks good. Lastly, I need to put this wool texture on the face, which should be pretty easy. Just hit multiply, duplicate it, hit overlay, copy this layer style, put it on there, put a mask on both, paint it in up here as well. And I like that a lot. Now for the legs and the face, I'm gonna need some sort of skin texture. But the thing is, their skin is a little bit furry like this. We'll just have to size this up until it's kind of covering the face. And then with it centered there, I'm gonna duplicate it, flip it horizontal, erase this side, and then kind of line it up to make the hairs go the right way. Then I can merge them with this soft brush, and then if I just select this part of the face without the eyes, I'll be able to paint in a kind of splotchy fur texture here. It's certainly a little bit cursed, so I might tone it down a little bit. There we go. It's not as bad as I thought. Okay, next I think I should put a bit of this wool texture on top as well, just on these white areas. I'll make it very subtle though. And honestly, for the mouth and the eyes, maybe we can just leave those as they are. Now really for the last thing here, I want to put fur on top of these legs. Basically, I'll just use the same kind of strategy as last time. Dot in some of these and put some of the highlights on top as well. I can definitely see why people are annoyed by how the Minecraft movie looks, but also it's probably really hard to get that to look right. I also think it was definitely an intentional decision to make it look so goofy. You know what? I think that looks pretty good. Maybe the sheep doesn't need that much fur texture on his face, so I'm gonna get rid of some of it. But overall, I think we just about fixed it. Here's the original sheep here, and here's what I ended up with. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the next thing people were talking about a lot is how the creeper looks like it's made of grass or leaves. Here's the best view of the actual creeper that we got, and you know what I don't think the leaves are the issue. I think that it's so weird because it's so obviously a prop, and part of that problem is that there's no eyes. If you just have this hollowed out prop, it's not going to look like a living being. So this one might be quick, but I'm just going to add some eyes and I'm going to add a mouth to this. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all that texture that's on the inside because you shouldn't be able to see into it. And I feel like all I really need to do is get rid of the texture on the inside, and that's already looking way better to me, I feel like. Now this might just be me, but I think that if they had just made it darker on the inside, it would have fixed it. The only thing I could really imagine that they're missing is the actual texture of the face. First I'll just line it up there, then I'll cycle through the blend modes until one looks good. Overlay looks pretty okay. Soft light definitely looks the best though. I'm just going to use liquify to kind of push things into place, but other than that, I'm not sure I'm going to need to do much else. What are we thinking? Did I just fix the creeper face? I was definitely going to put eyes up here at first, but I feel like I don't even need them at this point. There you go, Warner Brothers, fixed your creeper. Okay, so for this last one that people were talking about, again, I don't feel like it's that bad. It's kind of the face that makes it weird. And I want to prove that it's the face by putting the old llama texture on top. I just don't really see this being better than the actual movie version, but we'll see. I don't think this works, so I'm going to go in-game and get a screenshot instead. We got that llama. I got to angle it just right here. Come on, llama, look up. Oh, okay. I feel like I got a good angle there. I'll kind of angle myself like this. All right, I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll get a screenshot of that and be back. Okay, so I got this screenshot, which seems like almost the exact same angle. I'll just kind of overlay it there, remove the background. There's still grass down here that I got to remove though. I also got to make these edges a bit cleaner. And there we go. So now I just kind of have to match the lighting of this scene and maybe give him a bit more texture. First up, let's remove this abomination, just like that. And then with our guy back in, I just got to put a shadow underneath him, put shadows on him, and then give him a little bit of texture like we did with the sheep. I'll start with the easiest part, just adding in a bit of a shadow where it contacts his feet as well. And I'll widen the shadow a little bit. Okay, then I got to give him shading to give him that movie adaptation feel. Have you guys noticed that? With every movie adaptation of like a cartoon, it's always a shaded version of the cartoon. This is actually insanely difficult because his legs are not separated by layers. I think I need to tone down the shadows a bit anyway. Oh, that's definitely better. That's working. What I do need to make sure I put a shadow underneath is like this neck here. I'll just select the neck and select the inverse. That way I can do kind of the same thing I did with the sheep's face, where it gets gradually bigger, and I'll tone it down a bit. That would also mean there's a dark shadow there too, and a shadow underneath his mouth. There we go. I think this is looking great actually. And with some little bits of grass covering his feet now, I'm gonna add some highlights to the top because that's where the sun would be hitting his head. This will also help separate the nose from his face, so I'm gonna put some big highlights on there. Then I can tone him down just a little bit, maybe some highlights on the back, but it is already brighter than the rest. So overall, I think all we need to do is add some texture. I'll take this kind of matted llama fur texture, and in order to make it look like it's actually on the llama, I'm just gonna liquefy this texture to be facing the right way. Technically, the texture is a little bit too big right now as well. I do think that as a cartoony llama, it's okay to have a really big texture because it'll at least show what it is. So with that, I'm going to make the texture black and white. I'll set it to multiply, make a copy, set it to overlay, make the overlay one only show through in the brightest areas, and do the opposite for the multiply one, put layer masks on both. Then we can paint in this texture using a white brush. Again, I'll only put it in choice areas so that it's not overwhelming, but I think just dotting it around will give it a pretty good look. And because the texture on here isn't that high res, I'm going to blur both of these wool textures just a little bit. And I'm pretty satisfied with how this one turned out. And that's it for this video. I have each screenshot right here compared to the originals. Let me know which one you think is better. Did I do well? Is the original better? I know this was also a bit of a shorter video than usual. Let me know what you think about that. Okay, goodbye, subscribe. Thanks for watching.